I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify. The things that you believe in have to scream it like a battle cry, and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make of lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others failed to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off of sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Shout out to my pops. I do this for you, man. What's up? Hey, it's Thanksgiving week. Shout out to you guys for being here. Thank you guys for choosing to be a part of the show. If you're currently watching this on TikTok, thank you for watching. But if you want to interact, you got to go to YouTube. I'll make the announcement about 3 times this show. It's Monday. We had a great weekend. We finished above 500, which is pretty awesome, considering we were going into the weekend sitting well below 500. We were 3-5 on weekday games, had a couple of bad beats, started off 0-3, and then got our act together, if we're being honest. Pretty cool stuff. Shout out to you guys if you hit on the money on the weekend. Had a lot of big, I'd say, locks hit. And then at the same time, we had some miss. We had some bad beats, and it sucks. I hate for people to miss like that. But our MVPs are on top of the world. We're not looking back, and we're having a good time. So it's a new week. I'm going to get into the ACC matchups and all the college football matchups. There are a ton of games being played on Black Friday, just so you guys know. So format of the show or of this week will be a little different. Yes, I'm doing ACC today. I'm doing Big Ten tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, you're going to get 3 shows in one. You're going to get 3 shows in one. You heard me right. I'm going to do the Big 12, the SEC, and the Pac-12 all together. That includes the American Conference or the AAC, the Sun Belt, and the Mountain West all on the same day. So I'm doing 6 conferences on Wednesday. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Wednesday does not have a football game going on, so we got the whole night to relax and chill. And so there's no college football game Wednesday night. And then obviously Thursday and Friday, I don't want to do shows on Thanksgiving and Black Friday in the middle of the games. There's going to be a bunch of games being played on Friday. There will be no time to do a show. So we're going to do it all on Wednesday. Hope to see you guys here for the next 3 days as I go over all the games. If you're an MVP, shout out to you. Thank you guys for being a part of Patreon and the team. I have already put out my video for Patreon and this week's picks. Go watch the video. You need time to watch it. Yes, it is a 43-minute long video. I want to double check. Yep, it's right here. 43 minutes long on Patreon. It's my Week 13 weekly locks, first look. Only 8 hearts. One of them's mine. Most people don't heart it, but I hope you watch the hell out of it and learn from it. The updated chart is on the Discord app, Discord server. If you guys don't know, this chat window here, this is our Discord server. If you're a Patreon MVP and all you see are these text channels, you are not an MVP. You do not have your Patreon connected to the Discord server, and you're not seeing everything here. I had someone write to me on their exit survey. We had somebody stop being an MVP this morning, or in the last 24 hours, I should say. And I got a notification, and I got a message about it, and I want to talk to you guys about it. The exit survey said, and I quote, "I only became a member to receive specific information, benefit, I've got it now." Okay, cool. Some people said their financial situation has changed. No problem. I have 2 people in a row right here saying RicoKnows wasn't as active as I expected. 2 of them. RicoKnows wasn't as active as I expected. You aren't on the Discord server. 100%. You are a Patreon MVP only. You did not come join the Discord server. There's no way that I am not as active as you expected. I am more active than I could ever imagine. I'm on this server every day. I answer every question asked. I interact with every MVP like they matter. I can't imagine how much more active I can be. I make a video for every single weekday game, and I do a live stream every single Saturday morning. I am on a live stream every day. How much more active can I be? If you're an MVP and you didn't connect your Patreon to the Discord server, that is on you. That is your choice. And thank you for your $25 donation. Please move along because you are not trying to be a part of the community at all. As the football season winds down, yes, we're going to transition to UFC picks. We're going to transition to bowl picks. We're going to transition to, get a load of this, FCS playoffs. I will be doing the FCS playoffs. I have ample time to go back, watch all the games, learn about all the teams. I want you to know now, I know a majority of the FCS teams, front and back, left and right. I know the teams. I know the players that jumped in the transfer portal, went there. I know the players that have been starting there for long periods of time. I can tell you who's going to win and by how much. I can do that, so I will be giving FCS odds. The only thing that frustrates me about the FCS, they don't show up on FanDuel till Saturday morning. So it's really hard to project the spread sometimes and who we should be picking until they show up on Saturday morning. So some of those might be live bets, or we might just have to do a live stream and then watch them as they trickle in on Saturday morning. But the FCS playoffs should be posted sooner than later because they're announced. They're there. I have the whole bracket up. I haven't shown it to you guys. Just to let you know, this is something I intend to work on. And where is it at? It's somewhere on I have it over here. I just don't want to show you guys my whole screen. I always have another monitor where I work on. But it'll be something to get excited about. I have the whole FCS bracket. There it is. So it's going to look like this. If you guys didn't know, in the FCS, all the top seeds, the top 8 seeds get a bye. So you've got South Dakota State with a bye. Montana, South Dakota, Villanova, Albany, Montana State, Furman, and Idaho, all with byes. And then everybody else has to play each other in the first round. And if they win, they'll get one of those guys. We'll talk about it. I can break down the games and the teams. It'll be exciting. And we'll see how much money we can make on this FCS stuff. But let's stay focused. Today's theme, ACC, FBS, and some other things going down. But the NFL happened. And in the NFL, we have a guy named Zach Wilson. We can go ahead and say Zach Wilson's a bust at this point. They're benching Zach Wilson for the rest of the year, and they're going to start Tim Boyle. You guys might not know Tim Boyle. If you haven't been following me for the entire year, you should know Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle is the worst quarterback to ever play in the NFL. Now listen, you might go and say, Rico, what about Akali Smith? What about who's the kid from Buffalo that was backing up everybody and just absolutely Nathan Peterman? What about these guys? No. Ryan Leaf was the worst. No. Tim Boyle is the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. But hands down. And that's because all those guys you're naming were actually pretty decent in college. They were actually pretty decent somewhere else. Nathan Peterman actually was the second-string quarterback at the end of the year for the Bears. Third string was Tim Boyle. Okay, it doesn't matter who you name. It doesn't matter how bad somebody played in the NFL. Listen to me when I tell you, Tim Boyle is the worst quarterback to have ever played in the NFL. He is a guy who didn't start in high school till his senior year, and he wasn't that great. He played up in Massachusetts. Wasn't that great. In college, he went to UConn. Couldn't play at UConn. Was on the bench for a while. Never good at UConn. And when I say never good, I'm telling you guys, let me show you these stats. Tim Boyle, the worst quarterback of all time, at UConn, his freshman year, 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I need you guys to understand how bad that is. How do you throw 8 interceptions and no touchdowns? 44% completion percentage. He couldn't play at UConn. The next year, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. The next year, 2 interceptions. Guys, when he left UConn, he had 1 touchdown and 13 interceptions in college. Never threw for more than 600 yards in a season. He did nothing. Then he transfers to the FCS because he can't play in the FBS. He can't play on the worst team in the FBS. Let's go down to the FCS. And he goes to the FCS. He didn't play in 2016 because back then you had to sit out a year, so he finally redshirts. And then he's got his last year of eligibility, and he starts the whole season at the FCS. 11 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Still more interceptions than touchdowns. He's never been good anywhere he's ever been. And he's at Eastern Kentucky doing this. He's never been good. And he made it in the NFL because he's 6'3.5", 230, and runs a 4.7 40. Prototypical guy, but my God, has he been terrible his whole life. Finished his college career, 12 touchdowns, 26 interceptions. So when you go and name those NFL players that were busts, who weren't that good, like Ryan Leaf. Bro, Ryan Leaf went to a Rose Bowl. He started at a Pac-12 school. This guy couldn't start at UConn. This guy threw 13 interceptions and 1 touchdown in 3 years. How do you even get on the field to throw 13 interceptions and one touchdown, 13 interceptions? And then he gets to the NFL. And never mind, the NFL, he's never won a game. He's never won a game. In all these years, he's 0-3. He started 3 games, went 0-3. By the way, 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. When is he going to be good? When? 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Hasn't thrown a touchdown since we were wearing masks and COVID. And he's about to start every game for the Jets the rest of the way. The worst quarterback in the history of the NFL. Shout out to Tim Boyle. There is no one worse. You see it here. Every year, negative rushing yards, except for that 1 year. Negative rushing yards. He's got 1 this year. This guy is T-rations, bro. Trash. Look at his negative rushing yards over here in college. He's a statue. He's a statue who throws interceptions. And the Jets are going to start him. He's appalling. And they're going to start him. Oh, my goodness. Tim Boyle, the worst quarterback to ever make an NFL roster. There's nobody worse. You can name a guy, and you think he's not good, Ben DiNucci. You can name a dude on the practice squad. Those guys were great in college, probably. Those guys were all conference dudes in college. Those guys started multiple years in college. Not this clown. Tim Boyle, 1 touchdown, 13 interceptions. That's all you need to know. And the Jets are going to start him over Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, it's the worst. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco gets signed, y'all. Signed to the practice squad for the Browns. The Browns are desperate for quarterback play. Joe Flacco's still getting paid. And if you guys didn't know, Joe Flacco signing with the Browns on the practice squad, he's making my kind of money, bro. He's making $200,000 to $400,000 a year, and he's never seen the field. I just think it sucks. Personally, I don't like to see Joe Flacco on a roster. I don't like to see him on a roster at all. I think he's had his moment. He's had his time. Sorry. And for somebody like me, seeing Trinity Benson get cut, that hurts my feelings. I want to see players make it on the roster. You got guys on the practice squads out there, and you're just hoping that they make it. At least I am. That's how I get down, right? So when I start seeing other teams, and I'm trying to see if another team wanted to sign Trinity Benson, and if not, that's a guy who, you know, he's just minding his own business, just trying to make the team. And they said, nah, we're not rocking with you. The Browns go and cut Trinity Benson. Sucks, man. Every time somebody gets called up to the team or, you know, to the active roster, it's one of those things. But the Browns have 4 wide receivers on their practice squad. So if you get cut from them, that you knew it was coming. By the way, the Browns signed Anthony Schwartz to their practice squad. You know, the speedster with no hands out of Auburn. Yeah. Just some ridiculous stuff going on. Shout out to Flacco here. Hey, Jordan Travis, season over. Florida State, Tate Rodemaker is going to have to be the starting quarterback moving forward. Tate's obviously not Jordan Travis, and it's a shame because I told you guys, if Florida State went undefeated, it would be because of Jordan Travis, and then he should be in New York, and now that's not going to happen. The injury, not going to be in a pivotal game, not going to be in the ACC championship game. Florida State can still win out, but now, because of the loss of your star quarterback, they don't care what Florida State's record is. They're going to keep them out of the playoffs, y'all. They would much rather put in a one-loss Texas team, a one-loss Alabama team, a one-loss Georgia team, one-loss Ohio State team, or Michigan. They have already stacked the deck to ensure Florida State doesn't get in no matter what happens. That's why Florida State just dropped in one spot in the AP poll this offseason or yesterday. It's just the nature of the beast. It's unfortunate. And for Jordan Travis, you guys don't want to hear it, but I'm going to tell you, I think his football career is over. This is a quote-unquote injury-prone quarterback, and he doesn't have, from what I've seen, and I got to go back and double-check the tape, like I always do, but he doesn't have NFL pedigree that I can bank on. I can believe in. I think it's good, but remember, there's guys like him all over the place. Remember Lindsey Scott last year? Lindsey Scott Jr., who I really liked, and I think Lindsey Scott just said he's going to go play in the USFL, XFL, and coach a little bit and not chase that NFL dream because, I mean, he's still trying to get there. It's just it's an uphill battle. I like Lindsey Scott Jr. more than Jordan Travis. That's telling you something, but that's how I feel about it. So it's unfortunate. Florida State can still win the conference. I would love Louisville to win in their first year. Brahms' first year, Louisville to win that would be. Do you know how many I Am Right videos I have to make if Louisville wins the whole title? I have a video out there where I told everybody Louisville's going to beat Kentucky this weekend. I made it 4 months ago before anybody knew Louisville was going to be good, except for me, right? I was like, hey, they're going to beat Kentucky. And everybody was telling me Kentucky's going to win 9-10 games this year. They should be ranked because they got all these great transfers, and they're on the up and up. You're sleeping on them. I wish I could just do a compilation of every comment that was wrong. The way people do videos and write to me in comments, Rico doesn't know. Rico doesn't. I want to make a compilation of. I'm not petty like that though. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I just want to make a video of all the haters in the comments, just every single one of them, so you guys can get their name. You want to see all the misses? The misses are immense in the comments. My videos. Go find the misses. Good luck. Good luck. Shout out to Florida State. Hope they keep it together and do their best. Michigan favored over Ohio State for the first time in 5 years. First thing I want to say is Michigan better figure it the hell out. They struggled with the passing attack of Maryland. Maryland stayed relevant in the game because of their passing attack. They shut down Hemby. Hemby couldn't run. But when you start looking at a team like Ohio State, they got a real passing attack. They got real receivers. They'll be open. And you need to stop them. I want Michigan to win this game. But I also know that if Michigan loses the game, they're not going to be in the playoffs. With the controversy of the sign stealing, the fact that they have them behind Ohio State in the rankings already. See, I feel like they're putting Ohio State higher than Michigan in the rankings to insulate them in case they lose. So if Michigan loses this game, I think their season's, their national championship aspirations are over. But if Ohio State loses, they can afford to lose. And it also depends on how they lose, style points wise. But I'm pulling for Michigan. I just don't like a lot of the Ohio State fans in my comments. So I'm pulling for Michigan. Not a fan of any team, but there you go. Texas Tech quarterback, transfer portal update. Tyler Shuck enters the transfer portal. So, if you guys don't know the deal, let me tell you guys the story here between two quarterbacks. I'm going to give you guys a story about two quarterbacks that entered the Pac-12 about the same time. One was a quarterback named Cam Rising, and the other quarterback was Tyler Shuck. Now, Tyler Shuck was at Oregon. And for whatever reason, Tyler Shuck couldn't stick on Oregon's roster, couldn't be the starter, and Tyler Shuck got injured, and then he transferred to Texas Tech. And he's been injury prone. But when he plays, he's good. And by all accounts, he's a good quarterback. Definitely the best quarterback in the transfer portal right now. But this is your first domino. This is your first big one. Tyler Shuck is in the transfer portal, leaving Texas Tech. And he's going to be a prize pick for somebody. Shout out to Florida State. Shout out to Rutgers. Teams who need a quarterback. If you need a quarterback, you found one. Tyler Shuck, as long as he's healthy, as long as he's not a chandelier, this is your guy. But I don't like the way he handled his business. He's leaving the school. After being injured, he's leaving the school. You know why he's leaving? Maybe he doesn't like the offensive coordinator. Shout out to Zach Kitley. Maybe he doesn't like the direction Texas Tech went this year by being a run-heavy offense. But when you're injured like this, you don't leave. Stick around. You're the starter. You'll get your job back. Or maybe they like the Morin kid. I don't blame him. But what I do know is a guy like Cam Rising, this is why culture matters. Winning culture matters. Winningham and Utah, Cam Rising did not play this year at all. Not one lick. He's been injured. Had a really bad knee injury. They said he's getting ready for the NFL draft. No, he's not. Cam Rising's coming back. And he'll be the starting quarterback for Utah next year. Think about the level of commitment Cam Rising has to his university, to the school that he's going to call his alma mater. And Shuck is just not committed to anybody. He's just a free agent. He's a hired gun. And he has never really performed to the level of expectations. Everybody expects him to go a different way. Now, they want us to know Shuck threw for 3,000 yards in 13 games at Texas Tech, and he did all these things. Cool, bro. You do understand Texas Tech has a great receiving corps. And they're coming back next year. All of them. But there's a 4-star coming in. And I'm telling you right now, Will Hammond threw, what did Will Hammond throw for? 700 yards in a high school game this year? Something insane. I did a video on it. Will Hammond threw for some insane amount of yards. They're bringing in players. And I don't think Tyler Shuck wants to compete with more players in the preseason. And this is what happens. Remember, Donovan Smith left to go to Houston to be the starting quarterback because Tyler Shuck beat him out. So when you start looking at Texas Tech's quarterback room and the depth they have, it's funny how you might have a third or fourth string quarterback, and that's who you're supposed to start nowadays. That's who your next starter is. If there was no transfer portal and they were all stuck there and they didn't leave, boom. They would have all still been there. You would have a lot of depth. It's kind of like Wisconsin's running back room. They're starting Aker, and he's like the 5th string running back last year. And all the running backs ahead of him transferred everywhere else. All these quarterbacks from Texas Tech are transferring everywhere else, and you're left to start with whoever's still on the roster. It's pretty insane. It's going to happen at Syracuse. Dino Babers gets fired. Shout out to him. He was always on my hot seat. Talked about it over and over and over. They finally fired Dino Babers. Probably should have fired a bunch of other people, and they will in time. But Dino Babers gets fired. If you saw that offensive performance at Georgia Tech, they didn't play a quarterback at all. And they would have, but Justin Lamson, the second-string quarterback, he transferred. He went to Stanford. He went back home to California. And he won the second-string job in the spring. And then the third-string quarterback, Carlos Del Rio Wilson, he's the transfer from Florida, went up. You know, he would have been starting at Florida. But he left because he couldn't start. He left because he couldn't beat out Anthony Richardson and, whoever the hell else they were going to bring in. It's just these kids can't win the starting job, so they leave, and then their old school needs them. Their old school needs them. Who's the kid? Brandon Davies? Yeah. Transfer. He's a transfer quarterback from South Carolina. Couldn't win the job. Lenora Sellers is going to win the job, so he leaves. He's a Delaware kid, and he goes to Syracuse. They move him to wide receiver. Don't even let him play quarterback this weekend. They played a tight end instead of him. And I'm not joking. They played a tight end, and he threw 14 passes. I'm going to show you guys. I talked about it in my results show. It's crazy. It's nuts how these quarterbacks are moving, man. We'll see what happens. Shout out to Tyler Shuck. I hope he finds what he's looking for, whatever that is. He said he wants to get after it in his NFL debut. There's Cam Rising saying he's going to return to the team in 2014. That's a winning culture. And the backups who were forced to start this year, they should not leave school. They should stay there in redshirt. Redshirt next year. Let Cam Rising do his thing and lead the team to a Pac-12 championship or whatever 12 championship they're going to be in, the Big 12. And there's no need for you to leave school, though. You'll be the starter after you redshirt for 1 year. So all those guys who suck this year, they all need a redshirt and get better. All right, done with this. Let's start talking. Oh, Northern Arizona, they fired their coach, Chris Ball. And the reason I put this in here, NAU firing Chris Ball is a big deal. Chris Ball is a really good defensive coordinator. So if you're a school that needs a defensive coordinator, you should have Chris Ball on your short list. Yes, he didn't make it as a head coach at NAU, Northern Arizona, but he should be a defensive coordinator next season. So pay attention. If your school fired their defense coordinator or needs a new one, Chris Ball is the guy. Now, if they don't hire Chris Ball anywhere, he's a former defensive coordinator at Missouri a couple years back. I think he'll be a positions coach at Florida State. Go link back up with Norvell and be a positions coach at Florida State. I think it's something to think about, pay attention to. But Chris Ball will be coaching again. He's a good coach. If you're on TikTok and you're asking me questions and talking to me, all you have to do is go to YouTube, put in the questions over there. I will see them. Go to YouTube, put in the question, search Rico Knows, go to my live stream. I'm currently on a show right now. I don't interact with TikTok while doing live streams. So, sorry. Thanks. Now we're looking at the schedule. Like I said, we have 13 games on Friday, and then we have the full slate on Saturday. Weekday games, we'll only have 3. I'll be talking about those every single night that they come up, except for Thursday. I'll talk about that on Wednesday. Like I said, I'm combining 3 shows on Wednesday. And then Friday and Saturday, I'll be breaking down every single game. But let's go. If you want to know what I think about these games and these teams, all you got to do is become an MVP. Go to Patreon. You'll come to the Discord server. Come ask me questions, and you can watch the videos while I break down all the teams. First game of the week on Independence. You have UConn at UMass. It's a rivalry game. It's a basketball rivalry game, but it's a rivalry game. Here they are. I think UMass is probably the better team. They have more explosive offense, more consistent gameplay, and UConn's really bad. They struggled with so many teams this year that I thought they were probably better than them, but they have quarterback issues. They lost some of their best players for the whole season. They lost a lot of good players to the transfer portal. Jim Mora Jr. is doing the best he can, and it ain't much. And that's what you have. Notre Dame at Stanford. Notre Dame is a huge favorite, and I mean it's huge. It might be 27 points. It's an incredible spread, whatever it is, and I don't like their chances. I don't like Stanford's chances of covering the spread. It's 26. So 26 on the spread. Notre Dame can probably beat them by 26, but I wouldn't bet on it. No way. Can't do that. I'm looking over here. You don't know which Notre Dame team's going to show up. Is it the 42-7 one or the 42-33 one? Right? They got a competitive game, and then they get blown out. Competitive, blown out, and then they're competitive and blown out. Typically, they get blown out by run-oriented teams, right? Run-oriented teams run them over. Hint, hint. Run-oriented teams run them over, and they can't handle it. So give me Notre Dame to win and cover this spread if anybody's betting on this game. Notre Dame to cover the spread against Stanford, 26 points. Sounds very, very believable. I'm with it. Just heads up there. The next one, Middle Tennessee. We're in Conference USA now. Middle Tennessee at Sam Houston. We don't bet on Sam Houston. We just stay away from it. I believe Middle Tennessee is the better team, but Sam Houston finds ways to score, and their defense is good. So I would leave it alone, not even thinking about it. Western Kentucky at FIU. I don't know if this is on my lock list. Let me double check because I wanted to add it. I just gotta see if it's here. I didn't add it, but let me tell you guys. I believe Western Kentucky is a much better team than FIU. FIU has no offense. I don't know how they ever score. Jenkins holds the ball way too long, gets sacked. Austin Reed threw a lot of interceptions this past week, and they barely beat Sam Houston, didn't cover the spread. But this is a team that's actually pretty good. Like, they're very good offensively, and FIU is just really bad. Arkansas is bad if they only beat them 44-20. I've watched FIU lose 40-6, 41-16. I've watched them lose to other teams really bad. I don't like FIU in this matchup. I think Western Kentucky wins the game, and the spread is 10. The 10 is problematic for me. Western Kentucky just, they're so frustrating to cover spreads because they waste offensive series. But I think they'll cover the 10 points and beat FIU if you're gambling and taking notes. Liberty at UTEP. It's an MVP level lock. I won't talk about it. Jacksonville State at New Mexico State. This is not an MVP level lock. This is just me telling you guys I love both these teams. We've been really high on them. They have won MVPs a lot of money this season. 8-3, 9-3. They've won us a lot of money. We love both these teams. We know who Zion Webb is. Heisman Trophy finalist for the Group of Five. It's a joke. Diego Pavia. I call him whatever the hell I want. Diego is the heart and soul of this team. Team's leading rusher, obviously leading passer, probably their best blocker. He's a great tackler. He's everything, man. That guy is him. State champ in wrestling. Just a great quarterback. The guy you want in charge of your team. We are big fans of Diego. Big fans of New Mexico and Jacksonville State. If I had to choose a winner in this game, straight money line, I'm taking Jacksonville State. I think they're the underdog. They're the underdog. It pays more. I like Jacksonville State, Rich Rodriguez. But this game is just, it's brutal, man. And 50 points sounds like the over is in play. I think these teams can score. Give me the 50. Yeah, give me the over. Each team can score over 25 points, I think. But either way, I wouldn't even go over. I would just go with Jacksonville State. I think they're the better team. And I know I just saw New Mexico State beat Auburn. I know. But New Mexico State has nothing to play for in this game. They're already in the conference championship. They can relax, rest some of their guys, heal up, and then they'll go to the conference championship and do what they do. So, love the game. I'm more excited about that game than I am about Michigan, Ohio State. I'm more excited about this game than a lot of other games, just so we're clear. Love it. Moving to the ACC, we've got Miami at Boston College. It's a weekday game. It's on Friday, though, so I'll talk about it. I think Miami's a better team than Boston College, and I'm going to leave it at that. Because it's an MVP-level lock, I believe it's a lean. Kentucky at Louisville, another game I can't talk about. Pitt at Duke. When I look at Pitt at Duke, I think Duke's a 6-point favorite in this game. Give me Duke to cover the spread. Yeah, 6 points is nothing. 42, though, I would take the under on this. 42 points, I would take the under. I think Pitt's going to have a tough time scoring, and Duke always has a tough time scoring. So give me the under in this game. 42 doesn't feel right. Feels like it'll be less because Pitt does have a decent defense. They really do. Shutting down Boston College. I understand they're losing these games, but they just had bad quarterback play. Man, 42 seems tough. I think Pitt's going to have a hard time scoring, and I don't think Duke gets there all by themselves. That's why I don't like the 42. I think like Pitt might score one touchdown, and then Duke's going to score 20 points. So maybe not the over. I got to think about that one a little more. But I think Duke covers the spread either way. So I would just bet the spread and go to bed. It's at noon. What am I talking about? Don't go to bed. Wake Forest and Syracuse, MVP level lock. Virginia Tech, Virginia, lock. Florida State, Florida. Pay attention to this game. You got to know who the starting quarterbacks are. Pay attention if Graham Mertz is playing or not. If Graham Mertz is playing and he's healthy, they got Florida State favored by 6.5 and then 50 on the over-under. I like the over in this game. I like the over a lot. Every team can score on Florida State. You don't believe me? Look down here. And I think it can be over 50. Yeah. I like it over 50 if Graham Mertz is playing. I like the over if Graham Mertz is playing. Pay attention. I know. Florida State, how are you going to bet the over? They don't have their quarterback. Trust. Georgia Tech, this game is very difficult for me to talk about. I need to study it a little bit more, but I feel like 24 points for Georgia Tech is real.
We're down by
Sorry about that.
a lot.
Commercials should start playing. I feel like 24 points is a lot for Georgia Tech in a rivalry game, but I think Georgia can cover it. I'm just torn. I think Georgia can cover it. Georgia Tech's not playing for anything other than they already qualified for a bowl game, no big deal, and Georgia's resting for the SEC championship, so maybe they don't go cover it. Maybe they don't go ham. Maybe they just chill and rest their guys. God. 24 is a lot of points. Stay away from the game. Stay away from the game. Clemson on South Carolina, that is an MVP level lock. And then North Carolina, NC State. I'm cheering for NC State in this game. I'm really high on their defense. They've just become very likable to me. I love Concepcion as a wide receiver. I think NC State can be really tough in this game. I know they're underdogs by 2.5 points. 55.5 is the over-under. I would take the under in this game, 55. I don't know how North Carolina sustains or gets up there. I think North Carolina is going to score somewhere around 20 points, maybe 28. And that gives North Carolina no way they're scoring 30 points. No way. So I like the under in this a lot. That'd probably be closer to a lock. The under, 55.5, I would go under on this game. NC State's defense is not giving up that many points. They just don't. They're just tough, guys. They're really tough. You can see here they gave up 17 to Duke. 24 to Clemson. 17 to Clemson, and that's a very comparable team over here. Okay? Just something to think about. Something to think about. I like NC State in this matchup or the over. I wonder what the money line's paying you. All right, so those are all the matchups. Talked about what I wanted to talk about. Now, I'm going to go to the chat. First thing I'm going to do, go to the Discord chat first, read all those questions, then I'm going to go to YouTube. And then I'm going to talk to you guys on TikTok. If you got a question for me, comment, concern, anything, all you need to do, move over to YouTube, search Rico Knows. You'll find the show. Put a question in there. I will answer it. I will not answer TikTok questions. I do not read your comments. All right, first and foremost, Bobby Albright says, Tim Boyle, former Packers backup legend. He only got signed there because Rodgers' friend. Yep, similar to Lazard and Cobb. Correct. They should have saved the mileage on Wilson and started Boyle against that bloodletting versus the Bills the other night. Fair enough. What is this link? Elko doing the same thing Prime did, announcing that he's going to be bringing plenty to wherever he's going. Yeah, okay. But he didn't say where he's going? I don't want to click on that link while I'm in the middle of the show. How is Syracuse favored over Wake with what we've seen these past few weeks? So, Wake has bad quarterback play. Syracuse has worse quarterback play, maybe. I don't know. But Syracuse has a semblance of a run game, and actually Syracuse has a decent defense. So, Syracuse defense is very good against slow teams. You heard me right. They're good against slow teams, and Wake Forest is a slow team. I would say Syracuse defense is better than Wake Forest. I would say Syracuse has a better game plan moving forward. I know their coach just got fired. Syracuse is also at home. That's 3 points typically. So I like Syracuse. And if I was having to bet the money line there, and I'm not, I would say Syracuse beats Wake Forest. I really would. Duke, Pittsburgh, bet the spread and take a nap for a game that is better. Correct. Graham Mertz is done for the season, collarbone. Okay. So with Graham Mertz not playing, you got to take Florida State. You got to take Florida State. And don't take that over at all. Don't do it. Just a Twitter link. Sorry, no problem. I like the under in the NC State game, too. There you go. You're going to talk Oregon State since it is a Friday game. Oregon State is a Pac-12 game. I'm going to talk it on Wednesday. Here is that link up top, just a Twitter post. Oh, no, I don't give a shit about that. We're probably about 13 days away from complete anarchy in the Wild West. It's literally open free agency for all of college football. I don't know that anyone is immune to what's going on in the transfer portal. It is what it is, and you've got to put together a strategy to retain your players, and NIL is a big part of it. Yeah, just trying to get paid, trying to get donations so they can keep their team together. Let me move over to YouTube chat. Shout out to TikTok. Not going to answer your question unless you move over to YouTube. Scott Wilson says, is Notre Dame joining the ACC, do you think, in football? One day, Scott, just not today, not tomorrow or the next year, but one day, sure. Mike Schmidt says, rough day today. How we doing, Rico? I'm doing pretty good, man. I got the results back from my sleep study. If you guys don't know, I did a sleep study. I'm getting out of the Army. Wanted to get a sleep study done before I left, and I got the diagnosis I was looking for. Cha-ching. I'm pretty excited. I got everything I needed from my sleep study. It's pretty awesome. And I kind of got some validating results, things that I was worried about. Like, do I really get into REM cycle? Do I really get deep sleep and enough sleep? Turns out the answer is no, and I knew that. And so I have a follow-up appointment, and my life will be better in the near future. Rico, where have you been? I got to get the Patreon app. Glad to see you. Jabron Fuller, go to the Patreon website. That's where you need to go. That's where I've been. I do my live streams on YouTube only, nothing else. My live streams for my shows, like I'm doing now on YouTube. I don't post any videos on YouTube, only live streams. That's what I use it for. And then on Patreon, I post my breakdowns of all the games and all the players and all the teams. I post my MVP picks on Patreon. Everything is Patreon. Everything is Patreon. You can be a free member or a paid member. $25 a month for the MVP, for the premium package. What I'll tell you guys is come UFC, the UFC fight cards, we will be streaming them on the Discord server. So if you want to be an MVP, it's $25 a month. First 300 people that show up get a seat, and I will be streaming the UFC fight cards every single night. So if you don't give ESPN Plus and you don't have the prelims and the early prelims, we're going to have all that for you on the Discord server for free. If you pay your $25 a month, you'll have access to the fight cards. Something to think about. You'll get your money's worth after one, just so you know. Yo, what up, Coach Stizzy? Rico, show some love to my guy, Jay Travis. Shout out to Jordan Travis. I think he's great. I've shown him a lot of love. Shout out to you, Davion Colston. Sojo says, I think it's time for you to give Dave Doran his props. Okay, I will. He's not bad. I will make a video and we'll appease you. It takes time for me. I'm going to tell you guys something. Usually after this show, I kind of shut off, push away from the computer because I've been working all day. If you don't know, you can go on the Discord server and you can see me in action. I'm actually working from 5 in the morning until the show starts. So I put in 12 hours every single day on this show and on my server and on my picks, at least 12 hours every single day in front of everybody, and not including everything I'm doing on the other monitor and my research and stuff. And I usually don't post any TikTok videos in the evening. But tonight, I have a lot of things I want to make and talk about and say. So I think I'm going to make some videos tonight and keep it going up until probably 2200. So keep an eye out on my TikTok channel. I will be posting videos for the next couple of hours. I got some things I want to talk about and make. Rico show, yep, made it. Got it. Big Ten equals OSU versus UM. Nothing else matters. All right, Big Ralph, shout out to you. I think a lot of other things matter. Been high on New Mexico State this year. I had money line on them last week against Auburn and think they could upset Liberty in the chip. However, I'm not high on them this week against Jacksonville State. Your thoughts? I already talked about it. Rewind the show. And I don't think they'll beat Auburn. Yo, interesting segment on The Herd today. What up, Mike Schmidt? Mike Schmidt has never watched The Herd. He just says that before every outrageous comment he's about to write. So brace yourself accordingly. He says, Colin Cowherd says Louisville are serious national title contenders. Thoughts? Yeah, I've done the math, and I've figured it out, and it's unfortunate. Louisville is not a contender for the national title, even if they win the ACC, and I think it's bullshit. I think that it all comes down to preseason rankings, and the fact that they weren't ranked very highly in the preseason is the only issue and the only reason they're not ranked very highly right now. The only thing that's keeping them out of the top 10, out of the top 5, out of discussions of being evaluated against Bama and Texas, is this prejudice. They were prejudged. That's a prejudice. Louisville was prejudged by fans, by television stations, by all conference committees and everybody else, and everything they've done on the field warrants consideration, and yet they were prejudged, and here we are. What up, Lewis Henton? Roll Tide Roll. Good to see you, brother. How is he in the NFL? Sojo, he's in the NFL. You're talking about when you write comments like this, you have to be specific. You can never write he. You have to write the person's name because I won't know who you're talking about. Good for you, though. I have an amazing memory, and I know you're talking about Tim Boyle. So how is Tim Boyle in the NFL? Tim Boyle's in the NFL because when he showed up for a preseason tryout, he beat out everybody. He was better than everyone. And then it's about relationships. So once you start becoming friends and you're not a threat to the starter, well, you keep getting tryouts and you keep getting favors and signings. Shout out to the Packers. Once you're really good friends with the starter quarterback, you're going to be the backup quarterback. And you're not a threat. You're not Cam Newton demanding to be one of the best 32 in the world. You're not sitting there fighting for reps. You're just the guy in the back letting the starter do his thing. And you're cool with it. And that's exactly why Tim Boyle's in the NFL. He doesn't cause a ripple in a locker room. That's how that goes. Rico, general question, what are you going to start making videos on the transfer portal? Those were the best last season. So, Lissandro, the transfer portal opens in December. I will make videos on the transfer portal as long as they're relevant. You don't know this, and I probably should show you guys this. But on my other monitor, while I'm talking, even while I'm talking to you guys here, I have the portal up right now. It's right here. Boom. Brought it up that fast. Didn't have to click on anything. Just had to go drag it. Tyler Shucks here. Jamar Sakona leaving USC. Marcus Hicks leaving Oklahoma. 4 people leaving Mississippi State. Already talked about. Keenan McCaddy, have not talked about him leaving Boise. We'll talk about it. Joey Yellen leaving Hawaii. Cottrell leaving A&M. I thought he was a running back. Raymond Cottrell. He was playing running back. This is wrong. He's not a wide receiver. He's a running back. Hold on. Watch this. Raymond Cottrell. Have never looked him up. You see it's not coming up in purple. Raymond Cottrell. They're saying wide receiver. I'm saying he's a running back. What's going on? I think he's a running back. Why am I tripping? It says 4-star wide receiver. I could have sworn he's a running back. I'm probably tripping. Weird. Well, there's a 4-star wide receiver leaving A&M. Couldn't get in the starting lineup. Total stud. And it's just kids miss. Maybe he played running back in high school and I'm tripping. Oh, maybe when he was younger. I watched his early tape or something. But what you guys got to understand is when kids like this can't make it at A&M, I'll talk about it, but it's not surprising to me. You're just overvaluating your talent, and I'm going to make videos and talk about it. No reason to go to a team and sit the bench like that or leave right away. You should stick around and see if you can earn your spot. But, yeah, I'll be making videos on the transfer portal all offseason. Don't sweat it. Just got to give me time. We're not there yet. It's still November. And I thought B.J. Armstrong was bad. LOL, never mind. No, B.J. Armstrong is not as bad. Absolutely brutal for Travis in his final season, but it opens a spot for Bama. Yeah, Mike Schmidt. Sure. Jack Wagner says, Rico, you got to make an updated video on Maslin, Washington. They're in the Final Four now and absolutely dominating. Congratulations. Shout out to Ohio and their great schools. I'll get around to it eventually. Do you think SMU could be an ACC force going forward? Mike Schmidt, I anticipate it. I think they'll be great. They have the resources for it. They will be a perennial power. SMU will be a top 25 team. In about 3 years, they will be consistently top 25. They should be top 25 right now. They're that good. Who's better, Michigan or OSU? I personally think Michigan is way better. That's a Big Ten question, and that's tomorrow. Do you think Jacksonville State can make a bowl game, and which one will they make? They can't play in a bowl game, Nate Zills. They're not allowed to. They are in a transition period, so no, they cannot make a bowl game. Every team can score on FSU. Yes, every team can score on FSU, Merrill Coleman. How many second-half shutouts do they have? Haven't checked to see how many second-half shutouts they have. Good question. I don't have time to do the research right now, but I don't know off the top of my head. Rico, who do you think Mississippi State will hire? Haven't really put a thought into it. I'll talk SEC on Wednesday. I'll let you know then. I'm thinking Jamie Chadwell, though. Thomas County versus Rome, who you got? This is a 6A quarterfinal matchup in Georgia high school football. Go watch my video on the results. I talk about who I have in that matchup. Thoughts on Pickett this season? Talking NFL? I haven't watched one NFL game. Have I watched an NFL game, babe? No, maybe 3? I don't turn on the TV on Sundays. If I do, it's to watch an episode of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel with Kim. I don't watch NFL games. I find them extremely boring. I would never choose to watch an NFL game. Not a single one. Not even the Super Bowl. I did not watch the Super Bowl last year. I will never watch an NFL. I just don't like the NFL. It's boring to me. Me, Mike Schmidt, never watched the Herd. You tripping. There you go. Rico, what have you heard about Jim Leonhard and the USC rumors to go be a defensive coordinator? Scott, I haven't heard anything other than people talking. It'll be great once it happens, if it happens. That's a great defensive coordinator, and I hope the kids can follow in his footsteps and do great things. But he can't play for them. How long do you think it will take for the portal to get going? I feel like a lot of players are going to be looking for new spots like Carson Beck to Bama. You're saying that to get a rise out of me. I will tell you that the portal's going to get going once the window opens. So players can start declaring all they want, but you got to wait for the window to open. There are going to be some players that are waiting until after bowl season. So just to be patient on it. Some guys want to play in a bowl game. Some do. Texas versus Ohio State in the Natty. Okay. Joseph Villalon is here. My goodness. What are your thoughts on Danny Sally, the defensive tackle out of Hutch Junior College? Nothing really. Nothing really, Zach. I don't worry about recruits, and I don't worry about junior college players more than anything. It's just something I don't get down with personally. Just they don't land all that well. Texas will never be able to compete with teams like Georgia and Bama, even in Washington. Okay. If you're not enough teams that will fill the spots, I'm pretty sure as well, JMU. Yeah, so Nate Zills, if there's not enough teams, they will go and pick those 2. Got it. I will wait for that scenario to happen. I'm not here to try to guess if that scenario is happening, what bowl game they're going to. Same, I haven't watched one all season, and I refuse to. How about those Liberty Flames? How about them, Jason Walters? I'm a huge fan. I love what they're doing. I love the fact that Jamie Chadwell took a depleted roster and won with it, regardless of the fact that most players left, most key players left in the transfer portal. It doesn't matter. Jamie Chadwell's a great coach, getting the most out of that team and winning with dudes nobody else wanted. So, yeah, I like Liberty. Rico, which lucky university is Brandon Staley going to be coaching at? I don't know. I know there's going to be a guy that might get hired at Syracuse, and it's going to disappoint you guys. It's the defensive coordinator from I wrote it down over here. Let me double check. What did I write? Defensive coordinator from the Steelers, Terrell Austin. Terrell Austin might get the Syracuse job. I don't know what's the infatuation and why they keep giving guys that stuff, but it is what it is. I don't think you should be hiring from the NFL. I really don't. I think they don't know how to recruit. They don't know how to run a program. I would not be hiring NFL position coaches or coordinators to come be head coaches at the collegiate level. I just wouldn't do it. I think I've never seen it really work out to that extent. I just go find a college guy. Good news on that sleep study. Better sleep means more focus. More focus means Rico keeps breaking Vegas. Shout out to you, Salt and the SWAT. Yeah, I'm not even trying to get more sleep, bro. Mississippi State is pushing hard for Chadwell. If they don't get him, whoever they go to is going to be disappointing. I've got a close friend of Summerall, saying he will only leave for Kentucky, so he will turn down anything else offered. That's a shame. If you guys don't know, Summerall is the Troy head coach, and John Summerall is pretty damn good. He obviously knows the area in recruiting as well. Mike Schmidt wouldn't last 30 seconds. Got it. Do you remember making the video about my boy Gerard Bowie? Gerard Bowie, Jacksonville State. He's currently like 4th or 5th string wide receiver out of West Virginia. Yeah, I remember making the video. I don't forget making videos about players. Let's make this very clear. I do not forget about making videos about players. I am RicoKnows. I know the players I'm talking about. I know players I haven't talked about. I know every player, bruh. Do you think any Liberty guys have NFL talent? Oh, yeah. I'll wait for them, Jason Walters. I'll wait for them to declare for the draft, And then when they do, I will make a video and kind of assess everybody who's declared. So I don't try to assess NFL talent. Let me tell you how I do that. I say this all the time, and I need everybody to understand this. When I'm evaluating a position group, I look at all the players that have declared for the NFL draft, and then I evaluate whether or not that player is going to make it in the NFL. And the way I do that is I look at NFL rosters and I evaluate who they have in their position groups. So if you're a wide receiver and you're declaring, I have to look at the NFL rosters and think, who are you better than? And this is how I identify players, undrafted free agents, and whether or not they're going to make it in the NFL. I know if they're better than players in the NFL. So I don't try to guess where you're going to get drafted. That's irrelevant to me. Like, I don't care where teams draft you. I don't care what GMs think of you. That is pointless. I hate mock drafts. I don't even want to try to guess that. What I try to identify is this player better than NFL players? And if they are, then they're going to make it in the NFL. Doesn't matter where they get drafted. Doesn't matter what's going on. Even if they're an undrafted free agent, they're going to make it. So keep an eye out for some Liberty guys who declare, and if I identify them as being NFL caliber, then it is what it is. And that's why I never get it wrong. You feel me? Like, that's how that works. So, like, if I go to my chart from last year, I'll pull it up right now. And if I go to it and I look, I can tell you that I pulled up. Here we go. I don't want to show you guys my chart. Hold on. My picks, I can't do that. Draft, top 10. I do. Where the hell is it? There we go. So when you look at it like this, I go and I point out players, and you can be like, well, he doesn't know who he's talking about. But when you're up here, these are guys that I think can make it in the NFL. Even if you don't get drafted, I think you'll make it in the NFL. And that tells me, like, people don't understand. I had Jaron Hall, Holton Ayers. Yes, I think very highly of these people. And they're not drafted into situations where they're going to be starters. Doesn't matter. Don't care. There's Ivan Pace Jr., my top 10 linebackers. Not drafted. I don't care if you're not drafted. He's a top 10 back because I know he's better than, and he's starting for the Vikings, right? I know that he's better than other players. So it's kind of like, I don't care what mock drafts say about players. I don't care what anybody says. I identify players based on how good I think they are. You know, like Starling Thomas V did not get drafted, but he made it on a team, and he made a Final 53. So if I'm identifying players that are going to make the Final 53, that's just how I get down. That's who I am. I'm RicoKnows. So, yeah, I'll look at the Liberty players, and that's how I'll do that. I apologize. Texas will never, got it. Not enough qualifying teams, fill the spots. Same one to watch. Mike Schmidt wouldn't my bad. Do you remember making a video? I do. Do you think any Liberty guys? Yep. You think West Virginia should keep Neil Brown? Do I think West Virginia should keep Neil Brown? Yes. I don't think Neil Brown's on the hot seat at all. I think they're going to win their game this week, and I really like. Now, this is more of a Big 12 question, so this should probably be on Wednesday, but I'll just tell you that I like the way Neil Brown kept his locker room together. I like that he I like that he won his games. He won games he wasn't supposed to win. He found his own identity. He lost a lot of players in the transfer portal, and he didn't quit. You know, he didn't quit. He didn't lose his locker room. You want to talk about coaches that lost their locker room and didn't do well? Look at Lincoln Riley at USC. They're so bad. They're so bad, and you can't say anything other than that's poor coaching. You can't go around and say Lincoln Riley's a top 5 coach, not with the performance I've seen this year. And a guy like Neil Brown, with his back against the wall as a coach, and he goes and wins, and he goes and does his shit, like, that's incredible. Back against the wall, you know you're getting fired, you lose some of your star players, lose your leading rusher to the transfer portal, lose your starting quarterback to the transfer portal, right? And they still come out here and dominate. I'm so impressed with them. I couldn't believe it. So shout out to them. Next question. What number am I then? Nate Zills. Nate Zills, you play at Jacksonville State. You are number 38. You are 6'5", and you went to Coleman High School in Alabama. Don't ever test my gangster, bruh. Don't ever come in here and ask me questions about players on teams. I'm not to be played with. Okay? This is not a game for me. This is my job. This is my profession. Shout out to you. Congratulations. But don't come in here and question me like that. Tripping. Just so we're clear. Thank you for the question. Mike Schmidt says, do you think Cade Klubnik is a good quarterback? Personally, I think he sucks. I think Cade Klubnik's a good quarterback. I think he doesn't have a great offensive coordinator. We've already seen that. We've seen them struggle for many years now, 2 years in a row. But I'm telling you right now, Cade Klubnik's a good quarterback. Just in a bad situation, doesn't have great receivers that get separation, doesn't have anything like that. I'm just telling you that he's good. Might have to find a new start, might have to find a different offensive scheme, but he's good. He is. Plays terrible, but he's good. I know that's such an oxymoron, but I'm real. Yes, I love it. Nate Zills, thank you very much. Thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for believing in me and trying to test my gangster, but I do this, man. Shout out to you. Florida State versus Florida backup quarterbacks. What do you think? If I missed it, my bad. Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a terrible game to watch. No, I think Florida State has the better team. I think that you should believe in Florida State in that matchup. The spread looks a little big for them to cover the spread, but I'd probably avoid it betting on the spread wise and just go money line and call it good. I think Florida State can find a way to win. They have better skill players. They can find a way to win. They got it. They got to win. They got to win. Shout out to Florida, though. Come on. I never thought I would say that Graham Mertz is so good that if you lose him, your season's over as well. Never thought I'd say that. Hey, thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for having some time with me, hanging out on the show. I'm going to get going. I got to post more videos tonight. Appreciate you guys for being here. Only an hour, but we got a lot done. Talked about all the teams. If you want to know about the matchups, go back and watch it. If you want to be a part of the show, show up to YouTube, show up to the live stream, talk to us, and show up to the Discord server. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Stay up, y'all. Peace.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a thing. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a thing. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify. The things that you believe in have to scream it like a battle cry, and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make of lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others failed to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a thing. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a thing. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.